Canola School on realagriculture.com is brought to you by Alberta Canola Producers Commission, Sask Canola, and Manitoba Canola Growers.
I'm Lindsay Smith with realagriculture.com. I'm joined today by Angela Brackenreid, agronomy specialist with the Canola Council of Canada. We are in sunny Carman, Manitoba, and we're talking the importance of getting out and having a really great background in scouting and agronomic skills. Put that in context for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the whole school this week, as you've talked about, has been focused around technologies and how to use them to aid you with scouting. What we're doing in the afternoon is saying, you know, these technologies are excellent tools and they really can help you, but you need to have that ability to ground truth, and you need to have that agronomic background as well as field history to really properly use those tools.
So what are we standing in front of? Walk us through what you've been putting participants of the Crop Diagnostic School through.
Okay, so it's a whole scouting exercise. What they have are some aerial images that the UAV took over the summer. So you can see pretty obvious points in those aerial photos where there's some strange things going on in the field. So the participants come out here, and we kind of cheat a bit. We go right to them because we just have limited time. But we're here to ground truth and go through the process of elimination of, you know, what could these spots potentially be. So in front of me is, as you can see, a really nice looking crop of canola. Directly to the left of me is something that looks a little bit unusual that the UAV did pick up, and participants, you know, really quickly went to this spot because they could see it in those aerial photos.
And so what went on here?
This is actually an area of low fertility, and you know, after we went through some of that background information that's so important, you know, the soil test results, the plant tissue tests, participants were quite quick to pick that out. There's some obvious nitrogen deficiency symptoms showing up there. So we also have some spots where the NDVI showed that there's a lower vegetative material there. So participants went right to those spots to see what was going on. Turns out it was cutworm damage. So some of those things are really great to see, as it can help you with informed decisions as far as what is that actual stand reduction. When you're just standing right in the field, it can look like a lot, but from overhead it really gives a good perspective as to that overall damage in the field.
Okay, Angela, so we're at a bit of a different spot here. What are we looking at?
Well, so throughout this whole session, actually, Ingrid Christensen, the farm production advisor in Morris, and Anastasia Kubinik, the oilseed specialist here in Carman, did some things to simulate what you might see in, you know, in an actual field, in producers' fields throughout the province. So what they wanted to see here was a drift scenario. So they sent the young summer students out to do this, and unfortunately it was on a day when we had no wind, so the girls were kind of put in a tough situation. So it doesn't exactly look like what you might see from a drift scenario, but the symptoms are very classic phenoxy symptoms. And as Ingrid has alluded to many times in our session, she's seen a lot of phenoxy drifts over the years, with that being a spray of choice on a lot of wheat crops. So this is something that producers would often see in their canola. Next year or years, if we do this scouting exercise again, something that we may try and do is a glyphosate drift. With the increase of Roundup Ready crops such as soybeans and corn, there is more prevalence of glyphosate drifts. So you know, this is the first time we've ever done this, and we're all kind of learning as we go. So we're hoping that participants will kind of give us some tips on how we can improve this scouting exercise for the future.
Now, for farmers who, you know, might be using things like NDVI or a UAV and getting some of these images, where do you, like, if they're starting to see things that they don't, maybe they're not sure what's causing it or whatever, what sort of information would you love them to have to bring back to you to pose a question? So what sort of histories or...
Oh, well, I mean, to me, the key in any diagnosis is getting as much information as possible. So there's never too much information, and I think a lot of times producers think, oh, well, that's not important, that, you know, this doesn't matter. But like, if you can go back, you know, at least 4 years in that field's history and come up with, you know, the fertility regime, the herbicide regime, the crops, everything like that is really helpful in coming to a diagnosis. One other thing that we've talked about a lot in the school is looking at macro patterns of damage symptoms and just strange symptoms in the field. You know, that can be super helpful in understanding what's going on. You're seeing things like, you know, extreme damage on the headland and then it tapers off. Well, that's kind of a classic drift symptom. If you're seeing parallel straight lines, probably not caused by a natural pest, probably more of a mechanical type problem.
Great. Okay, thanks so much.
Thanks, Lindsay.